Hello everyone, welcome to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. It's good to be spending the next 50 minutes with you. I hope you're well wherever you are. To all of the dads in Australia and New Zealand, and I think maybe even Fiji, happy Father's Day. I hope you had a great day and you were surrounded by loved ones. I know that it's not Father's Day in every part of the world. Apparently, over the next couple of weeks, places like America, Canada will have their Father's Day, but we had it yesterday, and so happy Father's Day to all of those who celebrated that. As I did, I got to spend the good portion of the day with my kids and my wife, and that was good. There is a small, actually on that note, do you know what I learnt last week? Might have been the week before, but anyway, I've recently learnt that, did you know that that not everywhere in the world determines their change of seasons at the exact same time? So what my point is that if you're in North America, you have not yet started spring. But actually here in Australia, we see spring certainly in accordance with the British colonial version of our heritage. We start spring on the 1st of September, but I learned that certainly in Canada, they don't start their spring until the 21st or 22nd of September, which I thought was quite interesting. Anyway, so yes, we're kind of close to each other in the way we turn our seasons over, but not exactly. And in fact, another interesting fact that the Indigenous people of Australia, who were here for millennia before the place was colonised, the Indigenous recognise 5 and some even 6, I believe, different seasons. So there you go. Got nothing to do with singing, but I thought these were interesting things to learn. What is also interesting is you are going to notice that there is an absenteeism in our live chat. And what's the person who is missing is Linda, our wonderful, wonderful Linda. Linda, this will be the first show, I think, in years that Linda has missed. Linda is she's one of my students, but she is just such a wonderful part of our Voice Essentials community, and she every week she rocks up and moderates our live chat. But this week Linda had something that she needed to attend to, and there was just no other way to go about it other than to miss today's show, and that is completely fine. Linda, I know you're going to re-watch this as a replay. That is okay, Linda. It is completely fine. I am going to fly solo today, so I am going to do my very best to to do it all, and I think we're going to discover just how important the role is that Linda plays in moderating our live chat. And so if there is, unnecessary comment in the live chat, I may be slow to get to it, but I'll do my best to keep across it. It's in the live chat that you would, normally put your questions for me, because today's a Q&A, and that's going to be exactly the same thing. We've already got one question there from Armando, which I'm going to answer first up, but certainly put your questions into the live chat. I can see them all. It's just that when Linda is with us, she grabs your questions, she puts it into a Google Doc for me, and I'm able to quickly see it and grab it, and there's a lot more fluency in the way we normally run the show. Today, I am flying solo, and we could be in for quite a ride. I'll try to not let the ride be rough, but bear with me. I have come to very much not only rely on Linda, but I so appreciate what she gives to both the community and to me in her support of me personally. So Linda, I hope everything works out for you this afternoon, and we'll catch up soon. Okay, next week, as I said, we're going to get into Q&A in a moment, but next week, just so you know, we have got a very special guest, Dr. Trineice Robinson Martin. For those of you who don't know who that is, she's the author of this book, So You Want to Sing Gospel, a guide for performers, and she's it's fantastic. I've also been in there's a couple of books where I've authored chapters, and Trineice has been in those. And anyway, Trineice and I have known each other for a number of years now, and Dr. Trineice is going to be coming on the show. This will be her second time on the show, I think. And we're going to be talking about soul singing, singing gospel, but also singing your soul and singing to, the depths of your being. We're going to be talking about, I think we'll cover a lot of things about performance, I'm hoping. So I hope you can chime in next week. Of course, to be reminded of all the live shows when we go live, which we do every Monday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so check your local guides. We go live, but to be reminded of that via email, you can subscribe to the channel, hit the white bell icon, and that way YouTube will notify you via email. And you won't miss a show. And just so you kind of got a view ahead, as I said, next week we've got Dr. Trineice on. The week after that, I'm on a studio break, which it's not much of a break. I actually use it to pre-record quite a bit of, I sort of batch pre-record the show, not these live shows, but the some of the pre-record videos for the channel. And so I'll be doing that not next week, but the week after. Then we come back. We've got a live show, a Q&A on the 26th of September. But then the week after that is a public holiday here in Brisbane, Australia. So we won't be on that. And then we're back after that, the 10th of October. Again, the best way to keep up to date with that is subscribe, white bell icon, and you know the rest. I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm gonna do my very best. It's been years since I've had to do this show all on my lonesome. And so I'm gonna do my darndest to make it as smooth as we can. We're gonna come back right after this and answer your questions. Okay, so the other thing, just to let you know, so for those of you who are playing at home, I'm going to prioritize all of your questions, so make sure you get them into the chat as soon as you can. Then I'm going to prioritize your questions. Those that come in first will get first dibs, after which I will then, but before which, if you put a super chat with your question, just a small amount of money, then I certainly prioritize your question, and I do my best to answer your question before it. That's how we prioritize things. Yeah, but we do have a question, and I think here it is from Armando. So Armando is asking, I'm just going to, let's bring that down a little bit because it's a little bit, there we go. So Armando is asking, Dr. Dan, I'm doing your free 7-day singing course, but my throat hurts a lot. I wonder what I'm doing wrong. Armando, firstly, I'm so pleased that you're doing the free 7 days to a better voice mini course. For those of you who don't know, I've actually had the free 7-day course. I've had that. Well, put it this way: over 15,000 people have done the original iteration, the original version, which was completely email driven. Now, what I've just recently done is refurbed it, added instructional videos to the 7 days to a better voice free program, and and you can now, it's now a really solid little free thing. It's worth $60, but it is, as Amanda is saying, completely free, 100% free. So make sure you check that out and join up. There's no obligation. It's literally 100% free. So you can jump in there and participate in that. Certainly, the aim is not to have your voice hurt at all during the course. And in fact, with the exercises that we go through, you should never, in every learning outcome that I work towards with my singers, pain in the voice should never be something that happens. And if there is pain in the voice, if the throat hurts, then you stop, you give the voice a rest, or you reset, you rethink what you're doing, and you can restart the activity, see if you're doing it incorrectly. Amanda, in your particular instance, it is likely that you, firstly, and I don't know your personal circumstance directly, but if this is the first time you've ever done any amount of singing and you've gone really hard at it for 7 days, then it can be that your voice is going to pull up a little bit tired. And so certainly some vocal rest. Can I say to you, vocal rest is one of the most underrated aspects of a singer's life. You have to give the voice time to recover, to rest, repair, refresh, all the R's, and so that it can continue on. It's when we just keep hammering away at the vocal use that we can run into problems. So vocal rest has to be a part of the whole process. But the other thing that can lead to our voice hurting, our throat hurting a bit, Armando, is when we are overloading it, not just simply in the amount of use, but in the manner of use. And so if you're applying too much pressure, too much push, too much, then certainly it can be a case by which you are loading the voice, which is then causing the larynx to labor because because of the level of intensity that you're putting on it. So my encouragement to you is, firstly, rest the voice, let it settle, yeah, and then start again, seeking a little bit more balance, not seeking, and this is something in the free course, the mini course, the 7 days to a better voice.com, if you're interested in where to find it, you probably want to find yourself not seeking like massive range extension, and we don't go into range extension. There's a limit to what we can cover in 7 days, right? So we're not looking for range extension. We're not really looking for vocal agility. What we're looking for is to establish an even, balanced tone. This is in the mini course. An even, balanced tone that is sustainable, that achieves a core tone, that is easy, efficient, and sustainable. And so just be mindful not to, so try to work within a really easy parameter for your voice during the free course. Of course, we do go into all of the extracurricular activities in the paid versions. Voice Essentials 1, 2, and 3, beginner, intermediate, advanced. We go into all of that. And so you can certainly go and check all of those out in your own time as well, Armando. But I'd start by maybe having some vocal rest. Now, Pete has asked a question, and I'm just going to quickly read it before we... If you're just chiming in, Linda is not with us today, so I'm having to work my way through. I've just seen Armando has just said, have a look at this. Armando has just said, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Armando. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. There you go. Mundo, I think that's the first time I've ever sung Happy Birthday on a live show. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great day, or have had a great day, depending on where you are on the planet. Okay, so let's come back to Pete's question. And Pete is saying, I find singing high notes in vowels pretty comfortable now, but I realize singing actual words are much harder, even simple words like the, day, or face. How should I practice singing words? It's good to hear that you're finding the vowels a lot easier and starting to work with those. But it is true, the moment you start to place consonants around those vowels, that is absolutely when we can find the vowels getting tripped up and the shapes of those vowels being hindered in many respects. And so what you can do, you want to, and it's very hard to sort of describe how we go about this, but it's something that I do with my private students when I'm workshopping voice with them. You want to identify, is it the consonant or is it the vowel that's creating the issue? If it's the consonant, then actually modifying the consonant for a short period of time. So for example, day, you might say the word yay and replace the d, which has got that really crisp d with the tip of the tongue up against the alveolar ridge, and replace that with the y. And so that softens the d and it allows you to access the vowel a little bit more cleanly. And then what you then do is you try to then morph back to the d, so y, d, and you just find a balance point that allows you to then move into the vowel a little bit more easily. This takes time because there are a lot of consonants. When you're singing lyrics, there's consonants that are bookending pretty much every vowel you do. So you've got to workshop and find the problematic ones. Remember that an interesting thing is in classical singing, there is a sense in which we orientate, not we because I don't sing classical, but that classical singers will orientate their tone and their sound around vowels. It's very vowel driven. In contemporary music, a lot of contemporary genres orientate around consonants, and we use the consonants in one sense to make sure that we're really driving the narrative, because the lyric is so important. Look, lyric is important in no matter what genre you're singing, but in contemporary genres like indie folk, pop, rock, these genres that are very narrative driven, the lyric is of primary importance, then your consonants are really important because they are what enable us to detect and understand, intelligible lyric, and it sort of differentiates us from other animal species. The other thing that we use consonants to do in contemporary vocal is to drive pulse and rhythmic percussive value. And so we use it to drive that. So we don't want to shave our consonants off to the point where it's just kind of a blurred vowel mess, because that's going to really dilute the drive of our contemporary vocal. And so just be mindful of that as you workshop and massage the way you work with your vowels. Again, it's difficult to really, I would normally be really dissecting this with a student, as with some lyric sheets in front of us, but go through and just see if you can ascertain as you go along, which, because there'll be standout consonants that are really sticking, and you want to see if you can modify those a little bit, and hopefully you'll find that helps. Your work, Amanda has just said, thanks for the happy birthday. You are more than welcome, Amanda. I really hope you have a great day. Oh, Mackenzie Kate is back. I've just discovered night mode to help with blocking out the blue light. Well, that's good, Mackenzie. It's good to have you back, and I enjoyed watching your performance in the Voice Essentials Facebook group. For those of you who are not aware, we have a Facebook group, the Voice Essentials Community Facebook group, and Mackenzie's an active member in there, and really welcome you to participate. We all, including myself, we upload our recordings. You can upload one personal recording a week just so that we don't spam each other. So it's a really well moderated, curated space, very supportive and encouraging group. I think we're up, I'm at 1,200 members, but there's a really active, proactive core, and we'd love you to participate in that. And Mackenzie uploaded one of her, I don't know, wasn't an audition, was it, Mackenzie? It was a showpiece that you were working on at the moment from Hamilton, from memory. And yeah, it was really good to see you doing that. So yeah, if you want to participate and you're not already a part of the group, please jump in. You do have to subscribe to the group rules, including that one about only one performance uploading a week. But besides that, you'll love it. It's great. I upload, on an infrequent basis, I upload performances of my own home recordings and stuff like that. So make sure you check that out. Okay. When we've got Melvin is asking a question here. Before we answer your question, Melvin, I'm going to have a drink. Melvin's been told that he needs to improve the texture of his singing. I'm just going to adjust my mic there a bit. Improve the texture of my singing. What does that mean? How do I go about that? Well, there's partly... that could be taken a number of different ways. And you'd have to really ask for clarification around the word texture from the person who has delivered that appraisal of your singing. And can I say, it's a funny thing, Here at Voice Essentials, we really work to the motto of if you know more, you can sing more. And one of the things that drives my approach with our community here at Voice Essentials, if you can know more, you can sing more, is because singers in general are possibly the least educated musicians, individuals within the musician community about their instrument. So many singers are singing blindly, for the want of a better way of describing it. They're just opening their mouth, hoping for the best. Within that context, we have so many wives' tales, so many myths, because it has been the blind leading the blind for so long. And as a result, the most crazy things are thought of by singers as being, legitimate, easy fixes, or, all you got to do is, we could be here all day talking through the myths and what have you. We're not going to do that. But, then what happens is everyone, certainly those people, and some of them are singers who become really self-assured in those myths and find themselves, wholeheartedly believing those myths, then those same people end up delivering feedback that often makes no sense, or if it makes sense, they actually don't know what they're meaning. And so, for example, someone will say, oh, you're a bit pitchy. And I'm often given to encouraging singers, if they're ever given feedback like that, to ask for clarification. Oh, I'm pitchy. Oh, okay. So can you clarify? Am I sharp? Am I flat? That is, am I above the note, the target note, or am I below the target note? Am I doing both? That's the first clarification question. The second clarification is, oh, I'm pitchy. Have you got any suggestions for how I might be able to fix that? Now, that second clarification question, 9 times out of 10, there is no solution that will be offered. Do you know why? Because all that person probably has the ability to hear is maybe you are a bit pitchy. The problem with feedback like that is when we go trying to fix, for example, poor pitch, we try to do that with our ear. We end up creating a lot of tension to try and fix the larynx into place, to try and get it to behave in a more accurate way. But that level of tension, tightness, actually just leads to more pitchy singing. Yeah, it creates fatigue, and it will often drag the voice off pitch. And so, even if the person says, well, you just got to hear it better, listen for the note, that is not the right way to go about fixing your pitch. Now, it can be that maybe you're on stage and you can't hear yourself because the foldback's poor, but beyond those sorts of experiences, just make sure you ask the following, which can be hard to do. It can be hard to ask an open-handed follow-up question when someone's just given you negative feedback. But ask it, because sometimes, given what they're not able to tell you, can maybe then help you to go, well, maybe I don't need to be so worried about that feedback. Maybe I can just shelve that and move on with my day and be not too concerned. So back to Melvin's concern of being told that he needs to improve the texture. So when I hear the word texture, Melvin, and when I use the word texture, which occasionally I do, I'm really thinking about more often than not, the tone, but the manner or the nature, the manner or the nature or the texture of that tone. And so, for example, I might be thinking about breathy tones. So if I'm singing, let's go back to Happy Birthday for Amanda, you're going to get it again. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. You can hear me really going for quite a breathy texture. If I'm really twangy, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. That's a bit nasally as well. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, I'm getting a really rough edge there. Happy birthday. Yeah. So we're talking about different textures. I so often when I'm teaching this, when I'm thinking about these things, I very much think in the mindset or I think in fine arts. When I always think of a high school arts room where, there's different projects that are being created, and someone might be just doing a really light watercolor. Yeah. And I always think of watercolor as being very breathy because it kind of bleeds into the paper. But if you can equally do a really rough, almost using different mediums other than just paint on a canvas. Like, you might get a can, like half a soda can, and stick it on, and plastic bags, and so that's very rough and textured. And then in the middle, you can just have a normal oil painting that is very even in its brush stroke, and it's very, very middle of the road clean. So that's how I think of texture when it comes to singing. So what does that mean? And how would you go about it? I think I've covered what does that mean? How do you then go about it? Well, it all, more often than not, comes back to breath, and how you are able to manage your breath and the way it flows through the larynx and your capacity to then manage the interactivity of the vocal folds and the flow, the pressure. And so this is why, it's one of the reasons why I've never subscribed to the idea of just set and forget with breath management. Just as long as you breathe naturally well, everything will be, take care of itself. I can't subscribe to that simply because there are too many effect values that we as contemporary singers want to be able to place into the voice to influence the texture of the sound that requires very knowledgeable, very intentional implication or use of the air to the larynx. So you got to know how to manage your air, and when you know how to manage your air, then you can start to play. You can start to play in how you work with that air and the way it interacts with the larynx and the way you bear down or release or don't create full closure of the vocal folds for a breathy tone, for example. So, Melvin, I hope that's helpful, and that you can, do something with that. Let's come over to the questions. For those of you who have just jumped in, Linda is not a part of the show today, so I'm having to go searching through the questions to find, because Linda is so good at grabbing your questions, putting them. But today we don't have Linda with us. So, a question here from Mackenzie Kate, which, again, we've missed having Mackenzie around for the last few sessions. Dr. Dan, do you have any performance tips to help with focus points and characterizations and acting the song? Look, it is on the edge of what I would typically do, but as far as, because I'm not an acting coach, however, I think there is great value, regardless of whether you are in a more acted form like music theatre, and Mackenzie is in a very sort of acted form of voice because Mackenzie does a lot of music theatre. But even if you're not, let's say it's indie folk or just indie, remove the music for a moment, read the text, and then read the text again. And as you do that, identify what is the overarching message, what is the narrative, importantly, what is the subtext of what is being sung? What is the message of this song? What is the grand scheme of what is being delivered? If you do not have a handle on that, the essence of the lyric, then you've got Buckley's of communicating the true meaning and nature of the actual lyric. So you want to back away from it and just try to look at the context of what has been written. When you feel you've got a handle on it, then you've got to, in some respects, you've got to identify, well, what does that mean to me? What is the essence of that piece saying to me? Because you're the one that then has to turn around and communicate and deliver the essence of that narrative. You're not going to be able to do that if you haven't already really figured out what the general context is saying. But when you can, when you've identified that, and I encourage you to, if you're a person that writes these things down, write all over your text sheet, your lyric sheet, write all over it. And then what you can do is start to see in some songs, and again, this is thinking more in a fine arts kind of expression. Think about the landscape. Yeah? A song, more often than not, does not end where it started. And I'm talking about landscape. I'm talking about journey, the story arc. What is the journey that you are taking your audience on? Identify where it starts. Maybe it starts in a despondent space where the singer, the communicator, the messenger is in a place of feeling despondent and has a sense of despair. But perhaps maybe then there is a journey of discovery and coming to be reconciled with that emotion. How do you move your audience from point A to point B? Now, the music, if it's well written, and let's face it, folks, not all music is well written. But if the music is well written, it is going to, in a sense, be the vehicle by which you're able to really traverse the landscape that needs to be traversed. And so it's going to do a lot of work for you. It's going to build where you need to build and back off when it needs to have that ebb and flow feel. So you want to then, you're thinking about that landscape, you're thinking about the context, and you're thinking about where do I want to arrive? Because if in a big song, like a triumphant song, it's very rarely going to die and peter back off at the end. It's usually going to end big, yeah? It won't always start big, but it will end big. And I'm thinking like, we are the champions, my friend. Songs like, that, the big pieces. And I don't know why that was the song that came to mind, but so play with that. And then if it requires characterization, then you've then got to do all of that background work as well. You've not only got to be working with that which is external, the narrative that you're communicating, but you've also got to do the internalized work of who is the character, because it's no longer you. It's now you're playing the role of XYZ character, and I now need to communicate through that characterization. So again, I'm not an acting coach. There are people who are very gifted and experienced in this area. And Mackenzie, I'm fairly confident that you would have access to working with people in your course who can do that. Okay, coming up here. This is Melvin's just written a response there. Thank you, Dr. Dan. That was a brilliant answer. This is to the question before, to a nebulous question that doesn't have a simple, obvious answer. Yeah. Look. Do you know the funny thing, Melvin? And this is how true is this of life? Is there are rarely simple answers in life. When you account for the grey, when you account for nuance and circumstance and situation, there is very, very rarely a simple answer. The older I get, the more suspicious I am, cynical even, perhaps, of easy answers. It's not to say that everything can't have an easy answer, but the older I get, and so online, can I just encourage you to just be mindful of really quick and easy answers. I've been doing recently. I've been doing some shorts, some on YouTube shorts, and some of you will have seen some of them as I'm putting them up on a weekly basis, and in doing so, my YouTube account now is being hit by, the algorithms decided that I also enjoy watching shorts, and some of the singing teacher / singing lessons that I'm observing on the shorts give me reason for concern, simply because, and it's not to say that the singing teacher, that this was their intention, because I'm almost certainly it wasn't, but when we, dilute everything down to less than a minute, and a short has to be less than a minute, it is so easy to dilute to the point of error, because you're trying to deliver an easy answer for what is generally a very complex scenario. Can you imagine trying to explain voice registration in less than a minute? Maybe it could be done. I haven't seen it done well yet on a short. Breath management, tone and texture, like we just said. I might even try and create a short out of my answer for you about tone and texture, Melvin. But the point being is just be careful of simple answers, because singing is identified as the hardest instrument on the planet to learn and master, because firstly, every single instrument is different. There is no voice has been put on a production line and released. Every voice is different. And then every voice is different day to day. Every voice is different decade to decade. And no other instrument has 2 points of tuning. You know, every time you approach a guitar or a piano, it is going to give you the same thing every time you come to it. Your voice is not going to do that. There is nothing simple about what we do. It's part of the reason why I love it, because there's never a dull moment. You will spend, you will spend the rest of your life mastering your instrument, simply because it is constantly changing. It's a moving target. And so just be careful of those simple, obvious answers, Melvin, as I know you will. And I think I'm looking for another question. I'm not finding one, and I think that's all right. I think Linda would be proud of us. I think we did okay. I think we did. Linda, I'm so looking forward to having you back next week. But I think we did well. We've done nearly 45 minutes. We had a lot of fun. And once again, happy birthday to Armando. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, we will be back next week. Let me just come back over here and get ourselves going again here. So next week, we're going to be back with Dr. Trineice Robinson Martin. Again, this is oh, dear me. That's one of her many authored books. She's going to come and join us, and you'll see the thing. We're all about sing your soul. And I'm really looking forward to having her back on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, if you've enjoyed today's chat, leave me some encouragement with a thumbs up. And very much looking forward to having you all join me again and Linda next week when we get together and have our special guest on. I hope you all have a great week. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.